You know, it's first refreshing to see that 25 years after, this bank, which when it was created, people were saying another institution is not going to last. But you could see the number of people who are here, you could see the celebration of success. The bank is more and more recognized as a center of excellence in trade matters. Today, the next challenge is to develop and promote more intra-African trade. At the time we started, it was essentially to ensure that the bank had a fair share of global trade. But now you have to add to that challenge the fact that the bank is promoting trade among African countries. That will be a means for Africa to transform their economies, because you cannot trade only raw materials or commodities. You have to add value to those raw materials, and you have to add value to those commodities. And value addition is creation of jobs. So 25 years after, I could see that the bank has been able to achieve a great deal of its mandate, which was to promote intra and extra-African trade.
Now, the conversations that we are having today, powering Africa through regional integration, trying to improve trade across the continent within the intra-African trade, inter-African trade, talk about finance and regulatory considerations. These are not new topics to you. They have been topics and conversation points that have been going on even in your days as president of the Afreximbank. Does it look to you like we're running around in circles? How would you mark or report the progress made by the bank so far?
No, I think when you look at certain statistics, you find out that we are making progress. 10, 15 years ago, intra-African trade was less than 10%. Now it's grown to 15% and is growing. The target of this bank is to have intra-African trade represent 25% of total African trade. So there is still a margin, there is still room for improvement, but definitely we are making progress, and that's what is encouraging. If intra-African trade has stayed around 9 to 10%, as it were at the time I was joining the bank in 1996, then it will have been a very disappointing achievement. But the fact that intra-African trade is moving to 15%, and hopefully within the next few years, 20 and 25%. That is a challenge.
That is progress for you.
It is progress.
Now, when we consider the fact that obviously Africa builds institutions marking up with the Western world as part of efforts to improve itself as a continent, we talk about the African Union as an institution, we talk about the European Union as an institution. When you compare the two, it does appear that the European Union looks and comes across as more structured, more formidable than its African Union counterpart.
Well, you are first of all talking about two different things.
Set up for the same purpose, really.
That's right. But you know, Africa, from the legacy of the colonial history, we are not going to talk more about it. It is there. You are talking about 54 countries. In the European Union, you are now talking about 23 countries. So it's not exactly the same challenge. The other thing is that the path to the creation of those countries in Africa were different. So you have to overcome different challenges than the one that the Europeans have been facing.
So it's not so much about numbers as it is about economic growth of these countries or continents within this union.
It is also about numbers, because if you take certain countries are so small compared to others and are next to those bigger countries. Give you a small example. country like Liberia or Sierra Leone compared to Nigeria, which is just next door, you are talking about different sizes. You are talking about different challenges.
So structural and geographical dynamics are roadblocks, are challenges as far as progress is concerned?
They are relevant. These are not things that you can just dismiss. You have to take this into account in charting your strategy as a country and as a region. Certain countries, which are small, like Singapore, decided deliberately to be a center of service because they knew that they didn't have the population to be an industrial country in the sense of manufacturing of a certain size. So country strategies are also dependent on their size, their geographical location, and so on and so forth.